Welcome to Exposé. I'm your regular host, Tony Akinyemi. Today we're going to be talking about programming the terrain. Programming the terrain. And what does that mean? In our last episode, I discussed nature versus nurture. And there I mentioned the fact that what you are born with, that is nature. The environment you create for that, that is nurture. So today we'll be talking about creating that environment. If you are born with the genes to become overweight and obese easily, there's a way you will nurture that and you will start seeing obesity and being overweight. And there's a way you can also eat and live your life that the gene for obesity will not manifest in your life. So we're talking about how to program the terrain, how to influence the environment of your body. And we're going to be identifying all the parameters in the environment that requires your regulation. You may not have control over your genes, but you definitely have control over the environment of your genes. Let me give you a little illustration. All of us are familiar with seeds. Maybe you have uncooked beans, raw, dried beans in your house right now that you have not cooked. You can take the beans and keep it in a plastic bowl. Keep it in your refrigerator or your deep freezer, or you even keep it on the shelf, and you can keep it there for weeks, for months, and it won't change. It will not germinate, it will not grow, it will not become a plant. But remove 2 seeds out of the bowl of beans, take it to your backyard, dig the ground, put the beans inside, cover it with earth, and start watering it. In the next 1 week or thereabout, you will see that the same beans that was on your shelf in a bowl for 3 months and did not germinate, the same beans that you took to the ground at your backyard within a week will start germinating and showing green leaves. And if you continue to nurture it, you will find out that before you know it, it begins to produce bean pods, and then another set of beans. It starts bearing fruits. That's exactly how your genes are. There is an environment you keep the beans, and the beans will remain dormant. There is another environment you keep the beans, and the beans will start expressing. It will start sprouting. It will start germinating. Now, if you create the conducive environment for the germination or the expression of your genes, those genes will start expressing. The genes for cancer, the genes for hypertension, the genes for diabetes, the genes for the different generational or genetic or hereditary diseases can start flourishing. But if you regulate the environment, the terrain where those genes are domiciled, you can keep them dormant, keep them behave themselves properly. I'm going to give you more details about that, but let me first of all answer 2 of the questions that we have received so far. One question says, I was diagnosed with high cholesterol and my doctor prescribed a statin drug to manage it, but I feel so terrible whenever I use it. What is your advice? Now, that's the first question we're looking at today. Now, cholesterol is a waxy fat in the blood, and the body utilizes cholesterol for many fantastic things. Cholesterol has been given a bad name so that when people hear cholesterol, the only thing they think is the negative impact of cholesterol. But cholesterol exerts very wonderful effects in the body, at least 7 beneficial effects of cholesterol in the body. Maybe we're going to dedicate 1 episode to explore all the benefits of cholesterol. Now, cholesterol is what your body uses, for example, to make neurotransmitters in your brain to remember things and to think, and for memory. So if you have extremely low cholesterol, you can start suffering memory loss. Okay? There are many, many wonderful benefits of cholesterol. But at the same time, cholesterol can also become a problem to our health, particularly when cholesterol is oxidized. It then becomes what we call oxycholesterol. And there are certain things that oxidize cholesterol. For example, the amino acid homocysteine oxidizes cholesterol and converts it from cholesterol to oxycholesterol. And when cholesterol is oxidized, it becomes very dangerous. It can contribute to cardiovascular problems. That is why cholesterol levels are monitored. And incidentally, as we talk about programming the terrain today, one of the things that we are going to be modulating or regulating is our cholesterol. You have different types of cholesterol: LDL cholesterol, low density lipoprotein, and you have high density lipoprotein, HDL cholesterol. Now, there has to be an appropriate balance for you to enjoy the benefits thereof. Now, if a person has hypercholesterolemia, that is high level of cholesterol or elevated cholesterol, what do? Now, before now, 30, 40, 50 years ago, if a person had high cholesterol, doctors will prescribe niacin, which is vitamin B3. Vitamin B3 in the form of niacin or niacinamide, different variants of niacin, works very well for lowering cholesterol. Your doctor will probably also tell you to eat a lot of oats, particularly oat bran, but don't add cow milk to it. You can use coconut milk to eat your oats, and that helps to lower cholesterol. Oats or oat bran helps in lowering cholesterol. And then, of course, the best way to lower your cholesterol is through dietary adjustments. And that is the recommendation that I will give to you when it comes to lowering your cholesterol. But today, for whatever reason, the medical industry prefers to prescribe statins. What are statins? Statins are cholesterol-lowering medications. Statins have potential side effects, and in my personal opinion, I do believe that the best way to lower cholesterol is not through the use of pharmaceuticals, but through dietary and lifestyle adjustments. And I'll have time to dedicate to that particular subject in one of our episodes. How do you lower cholesterol naturally using diet and lifestyle and not medication? Okay? This person says the statin drug prescribed for her is making her feel terrible. So I have given you 2 simple tips that you can use in place of the statin drugs that you have been given. And that is number 1, to obtain vitamin B3. Some people have flushing when they take vitamin B3, niacin. So such people can take the variant called niacinamide, and that helps better. Then you eat a lot of oats without cow milk. You see, there are 2 ways cholesterol accumulates in the body or gets elevated in the body. 1, your body produces its own cholesterol. Number 2, you can also get cholesterol from your food. So the sum total of the one your body produces and the ones that come from your diet makes up your total cholesterol. If you want to reduce your cholesterol level, you can either use medications such as statins that your doctor prescribes for you. That one will be shutting down the factory in your body that produces cholesterol, okay? And then you continue to get your cholesterol from your food. On the other hand, you can choose to block out cholesterol from your food and let your body be the one producing just the amount that you need. And I think that is the best way to go. You allow your body to do the production and you cut cholesterol out of your food. And then you will have normal cholesterol level. So that's how it goes as far as cholesterol is concerned. Now, the second question here talks about keto diet. What is my take on keto diet? And this is my answer. First of all, keto diet is a diet that is almost 0 in carbohydrates, but very high in fats and proteins. There are 3 macronutrients that we need. We need carbohydrates, we need proteins, and then we need fats and oil. In keto diet, the carbohydrate portion is almost taken out to 0 level, if at all, very minimally. And then you have a very high amount of fat, high amount of protein. That's what they call keto diet. The full word is ketogenic diet. Now, the body utilizes glucose for energy primarily. The body can also use proteins and fats for energy, but the primary source of energy for the body is carbohydrates. So when you take the carbohydrates out, then the body does not have carbohydrate which is converted to glucose when it is broken down in the body. So you don't have glucose for energy. what you now use is that the excess fat that you eat in the keto diet, your body breaks down the fat into ketones. Ketones then become the alternative source of energy for the body. So the body begins to utilize ketones instead of glucose for energy. Okay? There are times when such a diet may be beneficial to the body. For example, cancer cells are primitive cells. They can only use glucose for energy. They cannot use ketones for energy. So when the person cuts out carbohydrates and then utilizes a ketogenic diet, the diet will be furnishing the body with ketones, but there will be no glucose. So the cancer cells can be indirectly starved because they cannot utilize ketones. But your brain can utilize ketones, your muscles can utilize ketones, so you get alternative source of energy that normal cells can utilize, but cancer cells cannot utilize, thereby indirectly starving the cancer. But that has to be monitored and supervised by professionals that are trained in that kind of therapy. But generally speaking, for those who want to lose weight, ketogenic diet enables them to lose weight, but not without its side effects. I have seen people practice a very unhealthy form of ketogenic diet. In other words, they cut out carbohydrates and they are eating bacon, they are eating sausage, they are eating corned beef, they are eating hot dog, they are eating processed meats. All these processed meats are loaded with nitrites. Nitrites are cancer-causing agents. They are carcinogenic. All those things they add to processed meats cause cancer. You can go to the websites of different World Health Agencies, and you will find these things right there. So I don't think a keto diet of that sort that utilizes bad fat, such as trans fat, such as margarines, such as fried food, fast food, and those processed meats, I don't think it is healthy. But if you are using healthy fats, like coconut oil, like avocado pear, like almond, and all those healthy fats in the keto diet, then that is fantastic. The other side of it is that I personally don't think that a ketogenic diet can be sustained for life. I believe that it's something you can use momentarily for a short period of time to achieve a particular end. And once that end is achieved, there has to be some form of modification to accommodate some complex carbohydrate as well in your diet, because that's where you get a lot of fiber from to help your regularity and bowel movement. So balance is the key in all of these things. So today, we come back to our main topic in Exposé, and that is programming the terrain of the human body to make it hostile for disease initiation and disease progression, and to make it conducive to health. How do I program the terrain of my body to make it hostile to disease and make it conducive to health and wellness? Programming the terrain. Now, the parameters that we need to program in our bodies are these. Number one, oxygen. We have oxygen in our body. And when the amount of oxygen in the body is low, a condition known as hypoxia develops. Hypoxia means low level of oxygen. How do you know if the oxygen level in your blood is low? There is a small device out there that you can purchase. You can purchase it on Amazon.com or go to any health store or pharmacy and ask for an oximeter. Oxygen meter. It's like a small peg. You clip it to your finger, and within a minute or so, it will tell you the percentage of oxygen in your blood. 95%, 96%, 98%, 99%, it will tell you the percentage. If the amount of oxygen in your blood is lower than 95%, you have low-level oxygen. Ideally, it should be around 98, 99%. That means your blood is oxygen-rich. When the blood is low in oxygen, certain diseases develop in the body. Germs, bacteria, fungi, viruses are essentially anaerobic organisms. In other words, they love it when oxygen is low. They thrive in an oxygen-deprived environment. But healthy cells love oxygen. Cancerous cells love oxygen-deprived environment, but healthy cells love oxygen because cancerous cells are anaerobic cells. In other words, they do better when oxygen is low, but they don't do well when oxygen is high. So one of the things you do to your body is to oxygenate your body. When your body is oxygen-rich, then you make it difficult for certain germs to thrive in that body. You make it difficult for cancer cells to thrive in that body because your body is oxygen-rich. But when your body is oxygen-low, then you are creating a conducive environment for disease to develop. That's part of the programming. So how do you program your body to be oxygen-rich? Again, we are going to be looking at that in one episode, where you learn all the tricks and all the approaches for oxygenating your body and increasing the oxygen content in your body. But there's something I want you to understand today, that when God created man in the beginning and placed us on the planet, our biosphere, our atmosphere, was very rich in oxygen. Let me read something that Dr. Joel Wallach wrote in his book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. That's the title of the book, Dead Doctors Don't Lie. I encourage you to get a copy of that book on Amazon.com and read it for yourself. Dr. Joel Wallach. This is what he wrote, and I want to read it to you. He says about 100, he said, according to the 1980s U.S. Geological Survey, the Earth's atmosphere used to have 50% oxygen earlier in its history. In other words, earlier in human history, our atmosphere had 50% of the air in the atmosphere was made up of oxygen earlier. But it says about 100 years ago, the Earth's atmosphere still contained 38% oxygen. 100 years ago, the air was made up of 38% oxygen. Then it says in the 1950s, it dropped to 21%. The amount of oxygen in the atmosphere dropped to 21% in the 1950s. Then he says today, the atmosphere contains only 19% of oxygen. Can you imagine? From 50% several hundred years ago, the amount of oxygen in our atmosphere dropped to 38% in the 1950s, and now it has dropped to about 19%, particularly in the cities, where there's a lot of, human crowd and bumper-to-bumper buildings, and a lot of emissions from factories and from automobiles and from generators. We have carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide being emitted, and we have trees being cut down and houses being built and all of that. So the amount of oxygen left in the atmosphere is so low that we have to make extra effort to get sufficient oxygen into our body to create a well-oxygenated body that will be hostile to disease and conducive to health and wellness. This is what Dr. Wallach wrote. He said the implication of the gradual drops in atmospheric oxygen is that we now have an anaerobic bios. Most pathogenic organisms are anaerobic. So they flourish and reproduce with more vigor in an oxygen-deprived atmosphere. So viruses, fungi, and bacteria that were dormant in yesteryears are now virulent. This may explain why anaerobic diseases have become more rampant from the 1980s onward. And we keep seeing new diseases caused by viruses, by bacteria, by fungi showing up every now and then in human history because of this change in our biosphere, atmosphere. The amount of oxygen is dropping, so you have to elevate the amount of oxygen in your body. We're going to be treating that in a subsequent episode. Now, the second thing we need to program in our body, in balancing our body terrain, is our hormones. Hormonal imbalance is one of the reasons that people develop several kinds of diseases, particularly women. Female conditions such as breast lumps, fibrocystic breast disease, ovarian cyst, fibroids, breast cancer, ovarian cancer, uterine cancer. Most of these cancers are caused by hormonal imbalances. Progesterone level, estrogen level, prolactin level, FSH level, LH level in the blood. When all these hormones are balanced, certain diseases will be difficult to start or difficult to progress. But when we have hormonal imbalance, it creates a conducive terrain, a conducive atmosphere to trigger the expression of certain weak genes in the body. In other words, if my hormones are balanced, certain diseases will not show up. But if my hormones are imbalanced, certain diseases will show up. We are going to be looking at the things that cause hormonal imbalances and the things that can cause hormonal balance. For men, testosterone is the main male hormone. And when testosterone is low in a man's body, it predisposes that man to certain diseases. When testosterone is converted to dihydrotestosterone or DHT, the person will be prone to developing prostate enlargement and even prostate cancer. So how do you balance your testosterone? How do you reduce the amount of DHT in your body as a man, the amount of testosterone that is being converted to DHT? How do you balance all of that? These things all help to create a conducive atmosphere for health and a hostile atmosphere in your body for disease. The third thing you need to balance in your body is your body pH. That is the acidity or alkalinity of your body. When your pH is balanced, certain diseases thrive in an acidic body, but they don't thrive in an alkaline body. So when you balance your pH, you can make your body hostile to certain diseases and conducive to health. Again, we're going to be looking at how to achieve that. Now, the fourth thing is about the cleanliness of your internal environment. If your body is toxic, certain diseases will thrive in an environment of internal filth. But when your internal environment is clean, you make it very, very unconducive or hostile to certain diseases. So detoxification or the intentional stimulation of toxic removal or removal of toxins from your body is a good thing to do to get your body conducive for health. And then, of course, you also have to balance your blood sugar. You have to balance your blood pressure. You have to balance your body mass index. You have to balance your serum cholesterol. You have to balance your weight, your body weight. You have to balance your emotions, your mental health. All of these balances help to create a conducive atmosphere for health and a hostile atmosphere for disease. So in subsequent episodes, we will be talking about details of how to create these different balances in the body. You see, when the body is balanced, it becomes more difficult for disease to take place. But when the body is in a state of imbalance, then diseases can find it ready or easy to start. That balance that you create in your body is called homeostasis. Homeostasis, balance. You have the information and you have the knowledge, you have the tools to create that balance. Mental balance, emotional balance, pH balance, oxygen balance, cholesterol balance, sugar balance, blood pressure balance, weight balance, everything in a homeostatic situation. Because our lives are in three phases. We have the anabolic phase of our lives, we have the homeostatic phase of our lives, and we have the catabolic phase of our lives. Now, during the homeostatic phase of life, if you don't maintain homeostasis, balance, then you give room for disease to take place in your body. I have been your host on Exposé. I look forward to seeing you again and again, same day, same place, every now and then. Tell your friends about it, and I want you to like us on Facebook, to follow us on Twitter, and I want you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on Instagram as well, and you'll be blessed you did. Also, make sure that you press the subscribe button and the notification button as well, so that whenever we come live, you are aware of it and you can join us. God bless you.
graduate of Rafa Institute of Healthy Living, a school run by Reverend Tony Akinyemi, where we are taught how to take care of our health using basic healthy living principles. My coming into contact with the school has changed my life for the better. Prior to that time, I had been diagnosed with arthritis, I had pains all over me, I had difficulty in breathing. But since I decided to take the principles taught in the school seriously and I followed them, I discovered that my health has improved, I am free of pain, my breathing has stabilized to such an extent that I can run a gym. Can you beat that? So, I want to invite you, come, join us at Rafa Institute of Healthy Living. Let's learn together how to reverse supposedly irreversible diseases using nutrition and lifestyle. All are basic principles. Your life will not remain the same again.